Well, hello, everybody. It is the Dennis and Andy show with your movie review just for you. That's right. Last night we saw Civil War. No, not the MCU movie that came out years back. That's even scary that it is literally years back now. Um, no, this is a new A24 film, Civil War, set in a distant future, as in everything looks like it could be taking place a year from now in regards to, it's not like far flung technology. Dennis, what's this movie about?
Well, this one directed and written by Alex Garland, so that kind of excited me, especially going into an A24 budget. It's a high budget film for A24. I think around 50
Yes.
million. That's huge. But this group, a journey across the dystopian American future, following a team of military embedded journalists as they race against time to reach Washington D.C. before rebel factions descend upon the White House. The president, played by Nick Offerman, which you saw in the trailer, which I had a feeling he wasn't going to be in it very much, and he wasn't.
No.
Um,
In fact, it's difficult because you see the casting, and obviously everyone gets credit that's in the movie, but usually you put them in order of like how long they're in the movie or something. And the way they did it, at least in my opinion, before we saw the movie, I was like, oh, it seems like he's in it a lot. He's not.
no, no, he is not. Kirsten Dunst plays. She plays Lee, and she is the seasoned reporter who's been through it all. She had her big break when she was in college, and it was the Antifa riots, the massacre that she felt, that she took photographs of, that propelled her to fame. Well, she's, I think, really gotten jagged over the years, and she is playing that seasoned, hardcore veteran photojournalist.
She is. She looks.
She's great.
I'm looking at this going, wow, is she our age? Nope. She is only 42 in real life. So 41 probably when the movie was filmed. And, it's not like they did much. It's basically more of not doing anything, almost going out, going, okay, we don't need shines on your face from the camera. So we'll pad you down. But, it's not like there's makeup stores and stuff. But she did great. I thought she did a really good job.
Yeah,
In the
she
movie.
nailed the role as a seasoned veteran
Yeah.
who's jagged, doesn't really care about a lot other than her close knit group knit of friends. Which is, by the way, Wagner Moura plays Joel. I thought he was fantastic. Her Sammy is played by Stephen McKinley Henderson, and I love him in everything he does. So he was great. And then the new girl for me, Kaylee Spaney, plays Jessie, and she was absolutely adorable. The bright-eyed, big-eyed, happy-go-lucky girl who wants to be just like Lee, and Jesse.
Yeah, and
fill those shoes.
it was weird because in the movie they do say she's 23. I mean, this is an actress that actually in real life it was born in 1998. So when this movie was filmed, she was probably 25. That looks like she's 15. I mean, this kid could easily, shouldn't say kid, young adult, could easily be cast as a freaking freshman in high school.
Yes. And just so you all know, we're doing non-spoiler up front. All the guts is going to be in the spoiler section. So we'll give you our takes up front, but then all the hard-hitting spoiler stuff will be after the graphic.
Yeah. So like Dennis said, she's playing the young go-getter. I want to, be a journalist, photographer, just like Kirsten Dunst's character. They meet in the middle of basically people trying to get water that breaks into a riot. She gets hit over the head. Kirsten Dunst, helps her out, gives her yellow vest that will help make her stand out as a journalist and stuff so people can identify her better. And then she tags along for the ride. And the ride is basically going from New York to DC because they want to try and get an interview with the president, these four people. I did think it was entertaining. They did set up in the beginning. There's no way you're just going to take basically 95 straight from New York to DC. If they could, I've done that drive because I grew up in the DC area many times. It's only like 4.5 hours. It's like 300 miles tops, 250. The route they have to take when they flashed on screen saying right when they left, it's like 800 miles. They literally have to go this so roundabout way that I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, it is. This is some people are saying this is a war movie or this is a horror movie or whatever, and it's really not. This is a road trip movie, but just not in the conventional sense, right? It's not in the conventional sense. There is a lot, so they've got a very long way that they have to go around. And in order to get there, because the whole part of this is they need an interview with the president before the walls come tumbling down. They want to interview him, even though they don't like the press. And, you know, there's been no interview with the president in the last 14 months. And these journalists are like, this is what we need to do before anybody else gets in there. So the premise of the movie is interesting. Like, it does take place, we'll call it, in an alternate reality, possibly near future. And we'll show you this just for a second. Let me bring this up. And we'll talk about this more in the spoiler section, but there's basically, this movie takes place with what they call the Western forces, which is the Republic of California and the Second Republic of Texas. For unknown reasons, they have banded up. Something has happened, and they are fighting against the Florida Alliance, the Loyalist states, and the Western forces, which are separate. And there's this entire faction that's going on. And all I'm going to say is the basis of the movie. We'll talk about that more in the spoiler section.
Yeah, I was going to say, and this isn't a spoiler. I read a couple reviews last night, and I figure if it's in another review, it's fair game. You know, I thought the 4 main actors did a good job. Jesse Plemons is in it as well in a small role. I wouldn't even call it a pivotal role. In fact, I learned this last night, Dennis, that I didn't know. Jesse Plemons, who plays a militaristic, he's not in the military. He's kind of like a militia guy.
Right.
He's got his camos on and stuff. He was not supposed to be that role, actually. They had somebody else, and on the day of filming, the person couldn't do it. I did not know him and Kirsten Dunst are married. She called in a favor. He was there on set because this was filmed in Atlanta, and he was basically there while she was filming with their 2 kids.
Oh, and that's cool. I did not know that.
Yeah, and she asked him if he would do this role. It only took 2 days to shoot, and obviously he said yes. More backstory on those 2 I found interesting. They were married in 2022, but they've been together at that point for 6 years before they got married. So they've been together 8 years now, 2 kids. So look at that, little tidbits like that I find really interesting. Sorry. So that was neat. But the biggest problem I had with the movie is there was nothing to explain why the country divided like this into these different groups, with California, Florida, the Western Front, the Florida Alliance, like that map that Dennis showed would have been a nice graphic, I think, in the beginning of the movie. And they could have done maybe 3 minutes of just text overlay explaining why it went like this. It's almost like Walking Dead in the sense where you still don't know after 15 years in The Walking Dead, how this virus or whatever started. You have no clue. I don't know. In a 2-hour movie, in 15 years of The Walking Dead, you kind of get over it. You're like, all right, whatever, we'll never want to know. And 2 hours of a movie, I was like, well, at some point, I'm sure they're going to say it. At some point, oh, credits. Oh, okay, I guess not.
See, and I did not have a big problem with it. I agree. Like, if they would have did some exposition right at the beginning, I think it really would have lent itself as to haha and immediately immerse yourself. The problem is you're immediately thrust into the situation where you see Kirsten Dunst and they're in the middle of the action. You don't know why they're there. So you have to try and pick it up as the pieces go. And I think he did that for a reason. And we will really be talking about this in the spoiler section.
I think I know what you're going to say. The other thing I was going to say too is it is rated R, and it's R for the violence. It's, there's no sex or anything like that in it. I mean, there's language, of course. I even told my daughter, and my daughter will be 21 next month. Some of the violence, I was uncomfortable, not with me, but with her seeing it. And I mentioned that to her in the car, and she's like, Dad, I've seen Deadpool and blah, blah, blah. And I said, yes, I know what you've seen, but you've seen that over the top Hollywood violence. They did, and this is a tip of the hat to them. They portrayed the violence in this really, really realistic, even to some parts, I thought a little just disturbing in a way, because it was right on the money. So if you've never seen like real war footage, you're going to get a good sense of it in this movie. So.
Yes, and to top on that, the violence wasn't just the fact that it was very realistic. It was uncomfortable because we are a partly divided nation right now, kind of like we were in the original Civil War. And
we are.
This is what I was going to say earlier, and I said we really delve into it. This isn't just a road trip movie. This is a mirror movie. So I think Alex holds up a mirror for us to look at and say, this is one alternative if we don't change our ways as to way it's going to go down. And brothers versus brothers, friends versus friends, like the original Civil War. And you can see how we as Americans, need to come together. And Alex had to walk a tight line on this. You don't want to pick a side. And I know some people will be really upset that he didn't. You don't want to pick a side of the left or the right or one of the ones in the middle. You want this to be a neutral to appeal to everybody and a journey, and without declaring a winner or a loser, but just saying, if we don't fix it, this is what could happen. And I think he highly was successful in this, just without some of the setup. So overall, the story I thought was engaging, and it was a continuation upwards. So there was more pieces fit together. It was a little slow in the beginning, but boy, it really picked up as the trip continued. And the ending was fantastic, high budget. It was really wonderful. I loved how everything came together. The acting was top notch in this. And I highly recommend everybody seeing this, but we really can't talk about much more until we get to the spoilers.
We can't. So let's rate this real quick before we do. I don't know about you, Dennis, but the more movies I see that are not sci-fi superhero, but grounded in reality, but have the set pieces like this when you're watching certain scenes, do you think to yourself, oh, this is CGI. Oh, what a good job of CGI they did here. And I'm not mocking this movie. I thought everything looked really realistic, but you just know from the set pieces, there's no way that was, real. There was green screen or whatever you want to call it involved. And they did just such a great job of it.
It looked beautiful. I actually think had we seen this on the IMAX, I think it would have blown us out of the water. It really was made for it, especially at the end.
Yeah. So anyhow, that's what I want to say. Let's rate this son of a bee. Is it my turn?
It is.
Okay. Um, you know, I I was coming into this with a different score than what I'm going to give it. I still didn't change it super. Uh, I'm just going a flat 7.0. I was entertained. I still say the lack of letting us know why um, this fracture happened bugs me. I do agree with Dennis. It is nice that they don't point left and right on this. It is kind of up to you to make your own decision of like even what side the president Nick Offerman represents. But I'm giving it a 7.0.
I am going with an 8.5. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It had that exposition, that little bit there at the beginning had been there. It might have jumped it way up. Maybe it would have pulled it down. You don't know. But I thoroughly enjoyed this movie, and it is something that is rewatchable. And we'll see how things all play out. IMDb is giving it, quite a few people have chimed in already. We got a 7.7 on IMDb. Rotten Tomatoes, critics are giving it an 84% certified fresh.
Wow.
And the audience is at 86%. So, yeah, guys, I'm a little surprised by that. Once again, the audience and the critics are agreeing with this.
So I say we're right in there. If you do the average of your my 7 and your 8, we're good. Yeah, I mean, I dug it. I could actually watch it again just to see if there's any nuances I missed. But now, guys, it is the spoiler review side, which means if you don't want to hear spoilers, thank you for joining us. Like, subscribe, share, leave comments because YouTube says that's what they like, or comments and stuff. And go sign up for Core Draft, The Awakening. It launches Sunday at noon. If you sign up and back the book, you get a free Adriana trading card and front of the line shipping. Real quick, we usually save all this for the end, but because the campaign launches Sunday, that's the trading cards you'll get by signing up and backing the book. Link in the description below. There is the main cover by moi and Dan Lawless, the homage cover by moi, and of course, Bud Root is back with a variant cover featuring Adriana, and it goes, oh, look at that, so nice. It pairs like a fine wine and a good steak or whatever you like to eat with the well enough cover he did for the previous campaign. Sign up, launches Sunday. Thank you so much for watching. It is spoiler time. Spoiler time. Here we are. Hello. Spoilers.
So one of the things that I'll say, and we're going to bring the map back up because
Okay.
this is kind of important because you get to see and you see it in the trailer, the flag with the 2 stars. And again, I mentioned the fact that they really had to walk this tight line because this movie really is, to me, a what if, like Marvel's What If comic book. But it's between 2 extreme ideologies that are going on. So in order to make this work, if it would have been Texas versus, Washington, D.C., oh, it's the right wing. If it would have been California, like Cal Exit, oh, it's the blue ones going against it. So they took the largest bluest state, the largest reddest state, basically put them together, and they said, look, for whatever happened, and this is what we don't know, these 2 complete polar opposites came together in order to stand against, the president. And what we don't know is, like, Nick Offerman, what he did, other than the fact that he's in it for 3 terms. They did mention that.
Yep.
And there you have your loyalist states that are loyal to Washington, D.C. You've got your Florida alliance, and then you've got these 2 that are really tied together with the Western forces, basically militias. But it was interesting. If only we had known a little more, I think it really would have added. But you're able to pick up things you know, throughout this movie. Like, you don't know who you're fighting against. There's a great scene where the snipers, they come across it and they're getting shot at. They pull off to the side of the road in this winter wonderland, and they get down and there's these snipers. And they're like, oh my God, we're being shot at. And he goes, yeah, the guy's a great shot. Well, who are you shooting at? I don't know. The guys that are shooting at us. You don't know if it's brother versus brother. You just know they're shooting at me. I'm shooting at them. I need to be the one on top. And it almost makes it feel like that's a microcosm of what happened in this entire large division in the first place.
Right. And that is, like I said, that is one of the things without the exposition I can kind of see is you don't know, you know, like Dennis said, he's a 3-term president. Well, we know that's a big no-no, and he didn't do that properly. Spoiler wise, you know, we always jump all around in this stuff. You know, the Western Front says don't take anybody alive, you know, basically from the administration. Now, you know, I'm kind of torn on that because even, you know, in wartime, we take prisoners, we kill if there's the threat posed to the person, you fight back, you kill. But when they're going after this administration, and like some of the administration jumps out of like the beast, you know, the limo and stuff, and, you know, hands up, they're wearing suits and stuff, boom, just mows them down, you know. And I'm kind of like, you know, aren't you supposed to?
But see, that is the point of what I was saying. Everything about this is extreme viewpoints. Their viewpoint is take no prisoners. We're done talking, and you chose your side. You're it. And again, you don't know which side is which, who's the good guy, bad guy, because we don't know any of the exposition. We're along for the ride as we're trying to do it through the viewpoint of these photographers, these war-embedded photographers that are neutral. We all know that the 24-hour news cycle now has created the fact where there is no independent news journalists. These are all opinion piece, one side or the other. That's all we're exposed to today. These journalists are trying to say, we don't care which side you're on. We are here to take the pictures, and you, the audience, view it for yourself to figure out what is going on. We are just here, kind of like the watchers in Marvel. We're here to observe and let you guys see it, and you guys be the ultimate judge of what's going on.
Right. I get that.
You know, and there, by the way, there was a beautiful scene. It was in there because this really was beautifully shot. The sound work was absolutely incredible in this. With the guns going off, they weren't just loud. You could hear it going through in different parts. But man, they're driving through this forest after Sammy gets hit, and it's on fire. It's in the middle of the night. All of these embers are coming down, and you know that Sammy's on his last leg. He's looking out the window, and the beautiful and the awe of how awesome it looked, but yet you're very sad at the same time because you see another wonder of this forest being burnt down.
Oh, the cinematography in this movie was fantastic, you know. And like I said, the special effects, the gruesome fighting. Jesse Plemons, we touched on in the non-spoiler part. They roll up basically on him and his buddy, these two militia guys. They basically are in the Jesse Plemons and his buddy there are in the midst of it's a mass grave. I mean, big dugout, swimming pool size, rectangle hole in the ground with dozens of bodies. They're dumping lime onto the bodies so they decompose faster. And basically, the young girl in the movie, the wannabe photographer, and this other guy are taken by Jesse Plemons and his buddy. The remaining, people. Kirsten Dunst, the guy, you know where I recognize the guy from, by the way, the reporter guy that's traveling with her. He was in Narcos, and he played what's his face, that drug kingpin down in Mexico that was in Narco, they were going after in Narcos. And this other guy, reporter guy, walk up and because they want to save their two friends. And this cracked me up. I leaned over at Dennis. If this was one of the dumb parts in the movie,
yes,
you're just like, this dude's not thinking straight. So Jesse Plemons is like, what type of American? Because he's like, they say they're American. Well, in this fractured world, that doesn't mean much. So what type of American, right? So he asked Kirsten Dunst, or he asked the girl first on the ground, the younger one, where she's from. She says Missouri. Well, that passes with Jesse Plemons. He's like, okay, because that's Western Forces states that look, or Laura, whatever. No, I think I'm looking at this map. I'm awful. Where's Missouri on this map? Where do they fall, Dennis? You're great at this.
So you've got a group. So one of them's from the Loyalist states. One of them's from the Florida Alliance state because he goes, I'm from Florida. He goes, okay. And where are you from? And, and Nelson Lee, who played Tony, and Tony's like, he was so shaken that he couldn't even speak. And then when he did, he's like, Hong Kong. Bam!
Wrong answer.
Yep. And I was like, and we were both sitting there going, dude, you can literally pick any state just about and probably get away with your life.
Yeah. You said Hong Kong. The worst possible. Worst. One, don't even say a city that's in a foreign country. Pick anything that's in the United States, and you probably would have survived. Dumbass says Hong Kong. Yeah. So he gets shot.
And at that point, deservedly so, because you knew it was coming. But
you're just an idiot for saying
there was one really great part in this movie that really represents a bit of the population today. They come across this small town during the travels, and there's no war going on. There's nothing. The shops are open. They have this really great intimate scene where they're going into this clothing or used clothes shop or, secondhand shop. And they're trying, she gets Kirsten Dunst to try on a dress, and they're hanging out. And she walks outside, and they're like, wait a minute. They're talking to the checkout girl. And she's reading her book, and she's just nonchalant. They're like, aren't you guys worried about being taken over or any of the war that's going on? And she goes, nah, we want to stay out of it. We just let them doing it. They literally planted their Swiss neutral flag, and they're like, we don't care. And yet when Kirsten walks out and Sammy's there, and he goes, here's a cigarette, look up, but don't make it obvious. They do. They've got guys with guns on the roofs. So they're aware of what's going on, but they want no part of picking out anything. They just want to live their lives in their old small town way. And they were completely content with that. It was just
there was also
really interesting one.
There was also another point too, which I thought was good, where they roll up to a gas station. Yeah. And it's run by these three militia type dudes. And she's like, we'll pay you $300 because the guy was originally like, nah, we're not selling to you, and she's like 300, and the guy's basically like 300. Yeah, because money means anything. And then she goes, Canadian, and the guy's like, oh, we'll take that because this is just happening here. Other countries are fine. Obviously whatever happens here is going to affect other countries. But still, if you could go, if you could escape to Canada, you could probably get up there and everything's going on like normal in Canada and stuff. Yep. So 300 Canadian, the guy's like, okay, we'll do that. So they had stuff like that was in there that was interesting. Going back to what Dennis said in the store where Kirsten Dunst tried on the dress because the young girl basically said, here, you should try this on. The young girl wanted to take a photo of her. And she got her to laugh, and she took the picture, and Kirsten Dunst was basically trying to educate her on, you got to know the right time to get the right moment. And the girl actually did. She got her to laugh and took a nice picture, but you knew that was going to foreshadow something else that was going to happen in the movie. And without giving it away, she took another picture of Kirsten Dunst, which was also at the right time. I don't know if you thought that when she took it, but as soon as she did, my thought was that captured the right moment.
I did, but it also, there's a spot where Kirsten and Jesse are talking, and Jesse's like, "Are you telling me if I get shot, you would take a picture of me?" And she goes, "What do you think?" You know, and it was just like, you're talking to this seasoned girl who's seen it all, and yeah, you're just another picture at that point. And I'm like, those two things together foreshadowed exactly how the ending was going to go, and it was great. So, guys, all I'm going to say is I loved it. I wish there would have been a little more exposition in the beginning, but you're able to pick up on a lot of different things throughout it. The issue that I've had with some of the people talking about it is, and this is why I think this movie's open to interpretation. I've heard some people say that, like, the president is this person. No, the president's this person. And they're on exact opposite ends. So you, depending on your particular political or persuasion of military, you are going to read things into this movie because it is meant to do that, because it didn't hold up the mirror as a reflection.
The nice thing, the way Nick Offerman played it and the way it was written is, they didn't play him like, oh, let's have him be over the top like a Donald Trump, right? But they also didn't play him like, oh, let's have him be, you know, this might annoy some people, but I don't care, kind of sleepy and lethargic like Joe Biden seems. You know, they played this guy so neutral that you're just like, I don't know what side, you know. So I think that was good. But I tell you what else is good. Kordrat the Awakening, guys. That's right. The book you guys have been waiting for since Kordrat the Reckoning, coming to you this Sunday, noon Eastern time. The book launches. How will you know? Well, we'll be doing a live stream, but if you can't make it, sign up and you will get a notification in your email when the campaign is live. Then you go back it, and what do you get? You get a free Adriana trading card and front of the line shipping, which means when we start fulfilling this book, your book will go out in the very first week, which you might go, what's the big deal? Well, it took us about 5 to 6 weeks to fulfill the last campaign, and we expect this one to do better. So it could take 2 months to fulfill. You'll get yours in the first week. It'll go out. So guys, link in the description below. Go do that. Thank you for joining us. Next Wednesday, 3 p.m. on the DNA show. We teased it Wednesday. We'll tell you now. Our good buddy and yours too, Bart Sears, is joining the show again. He was our first video guest. He's coming back after, it's been a couple years, not since we've talked to him, but since you've seen him.
That's right.
And I'm throwing this out there. I haven't even talked to Bart about it, but I'm going to see if he would like to do an impromptu art auction on the show. Maybe he has some stuff lying around. I don't know, sketches, whatever. And maybe we'll get him to sell some stuff live on the DNA show. We'll run it just like the art auctions always. You confirm it. You pay for it. He sends it out. Join us 3 p.m. next week. I think we know what we're seeing. Do you remember the title? I remember who's in it. Henry Cavill, Alan Ritchson. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Ungodly something, gentlemen, whatever.
Yeah, it's basically the new version of the Dirty Dozen.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see it next week. We'll know for sure the title on Wednesday when we do the show. Join us then. Have a great weekend. Thank you again, everybody. Like, subscribe, and share.